What's the silliest reason you've had to stop in the middle of having sex? Inspired by my dog throwing up on the carpet this morning. She's fine. She's disgusted by you guys. My diabetic boyfriend's blood sugar dropped. He just stopped and yelled juice. Her dog kept trying to lick my butthole. Wife finished and was waiting for me to finish. Heat of the moment and close to finishing, she looks at me and says, "You can do it, buddy." That was the end of it and was like a deflated balloon how fast it went down. Still joke about it. Outside of the bedroom, of course. I lived in a 2-story house, which was quite old. It had piped steam heating, and one of the issues was that when the heat came on, the pipes expanded, causing a weird knocking sound, as if someone was walking in high heels. My bedroom was in the lower floor, and the living room and entrance above. One night I had a girl that I had recently met over, and it was her first time at my place. It was late. We were getting frisky, then started doing it. She was on top, riding away. I was having a good time, to say the least. Unbeknownst to me, the heat had come on, so suddenly the knocking starts, and she gets this horrified look on her face, hastily gets up and starts getting dressed. I was so used to the knocking that it didn't even register anymore, so I'm like, "What happened? What did I do?" And she replied, "Your wife is here." I heard her walk in upstairs, and I'm like, "What wife? I live alone." Soon it dawned on me what had happened, and we both had a good laugh. A rat bit me. He had a pet rat that had free run of the space at the top of his dresser. I grabbed the edge of the dresser in the middle of things, and the rat did not take the intrusion kindly and delivered a sneak attack to my fingertip. Blood fountained everywhere, and we had to take a first aid break. Her cat stayed in her room as she lived away at college with a few roommates. We were about 10 minutes in and this cat took the smelliest shit in its litter box. I tried to push through but it was just too powerful. She left her music on shuffle all, which worked fine, until the Woody Woodpecker theme song came on. Well, maybe not the middle. She had just finished going down on me and tried to sexily back up into me when her leg slipped off the bed and face planted onto the floor. Spent the next few minutes dying of laughter, but resumed after. My wife and I were going doggy style and I kind of swept her legs out, so we were doing it with her on her stomach. She immediately yelled out, "Remove the supports," a la the witch-weighing scene in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It took us 30 minutes before we started again because we were laughing so hard. Was in her bed for the first time. The sides of her bed frame rose up and were on the same level as the bed. Flash to love making. I'm half standing going to town, when I reposition my foot on the covers. Turns out that was actually the frame, and I slip, fall off the bed and slam my head on the wall. I didn't get a nut, but I did get a concussion. Well, at least somebody got head, even if it was the wall. My now ex-girlfriend and I were going at it and our pet pot-bellied pig put his nose, pretty much in my butt. I jumped due to shock, and our pig Truffles got spooked and went to run. He went under my legs and stepped on her inner thigh. Nobody was seriously hurt, but we were pretty shocked and started laughing. I have a clapper light and the sound of balls on butt cheek turned the bedside lamp on. We promptly resumed after some hysterics. I thought it would be funny to wear my prescription monocle to bed and she didn't notice till halfway through. A prescription monocle. Was this in 1917? Me, Mr. Peanut. Me. While doing it from behind, accidentally rammed my penis into her lower butt cheek. It hurt so much, I actually thought I bent it in half. I didn't, but I needed time to recover. We had been going at it for a while, so my legs were pretty tired. I told my boyfriend while we were switching positions that my legs made me feel like a noodle, and in his sexiest, not at all trying to be funny voice, he goes, "Yeah, well, you're a tight little noodle." He was furious with himself for saying it after I couldn't stop laughing long enough to continue. I made a noise that was a cross between a moan and the grudge and choking sounds. We were laughing so hard we couldn't go on. Cat jumped on the bed to see what all the commotion was about. Our cat usually jumps off, or we scoot her off if we notice her close by. But in a recent instance we realized that she'd gotten kind of covered, rolled up in the blankets at the end of the bed during and had just kind of stayed there and accepted her fate. It started to burn really bad. Turns out my boyfriend at the time hadn't washed his hands after we had made jalapeno poppers earlier that night. It was an inferno down there. My girlfriend loves to play with herself while we're doing doggy style, so I'm used to feeling a hand brush my junk every once in a while during sex. This one time we were getting close to finishing when I felt a little pinch near the part where the tip meets the shaft of the cock. I pulled out and looked and her fingernail snagged the edge of my cock and I was bleeding. A lot. Mostly because I was hard. So I stopped and went to the bathroom. Cleaned it up. Lost my hard-on and my girlfriend asked what was up. And after I showed her, she immediately started clipping and filing her nails. We laugh about it now but it was less than entertaining when it happened. She was on top going cowgirl when all of the sudden she stops and looks down at me with a concerned look on her face. I immediately asked what was wrong, very much concerned I had hurt her or she had hurt herself. She says I have to fart. So I told her to do it. It vibrated my balls. We couldn't continue because we were laughing too much. I couldn't keep going with Forrest Gump going on in the background. I still have yet to finish that movie. Lost my virginity that day though. You're missing out. Great movie. The farmer whose field we were parked in showed up and we had to make a run for it. Old man Jenkins just wanted a threesome. The guys in the other rooms on my dorm floor clapping and chanting my name. Between the thin walls and the echoing vents, you could hold a conversation with at least a few rooms on either side of you without having to raise your voice, and this girl wasn't a quite one. I was the first one to bring a girl into the dorms that year. In an all-male building, we only stopped for a minute to laugh and turn some loud music on. I feel as if you missed a bonding experience. You should have started thrusting in time to your name. Me and my ex-girlfriend used to always have a movie on while we had sex when my roommate was home. So this time we were watching the first Harry Potter. So a bit in the movie we start fooling around and things heat up. Once we were going at it I heard some moans that were neither of ours, which were blasting out of the TV. I looked over at the screen and it is the scene where the troll was wreaking havoc in the bathrooms, yelling away like a giant beast. I started laughing so hard I could not continue, and had to wait until Hermione put that bitch to sleep. Another time earlier in my relationship with the same girl, she was giving me a blowjob, then all of the sudden stopped, put her hair in the ponytail, and said pull the lever Kronk while putting my hand on her ponytail. I managed to keep my composure through that one, but it was hard not to. You know those overlapping fabric gaps in some men's underwear, like a fly without a zip. So in the heat of the moment I'm kneeling over my mostly naked girlfriend and I decided it would be great to pop it out of the gap in my underwear. Instead of her grabbing my dick as it had panned out in my mind, she damn near pissed herself laughing at my boner sticking out of the middle of these bright yellow briefs I had on. She was laughing so much we couldn't have sex. But we still have a laugh at it whenever we remember or when I wear the underwear. SpongeBob's nose. That's why it was funny. Wife was pregnant. Baby kicked me in the stomach. She thought it was hilarious. Me not so much. Not sex. But a buddy of mine is pregnant and her cat was asleep on her tummy when the baby kicked the cat in the head. She said she laughed so hard she peed herself. So I've just been dating this girl for a month or so, and we're hooking up at her place. You know how it is with a new relationship. You're always worried about doing something embarrassing. Now we usually just put her iTunes music on shuffle when we're fooling around. But her phone wasn't handy so we're using mine. Which was a gamble because a good 50% of my music is ridiculous shit I downloaded on a whim. But I was horny and in a hurry so I figured I'd roll the dice. It went fine for a while. Pretty good mix of good sex music. I'm behind her. We're in the middle of things. And then Ray Parker Jr. starts belting out the Ghostbusters theme. She freezes. Doesn't turn around. I freeze too. Already trying to think of a way to play this off without spoiling the mood. Then she snickers. Says Bustin' makes me feel good, and starts grinding back into me while laughing her ass off. Obviously I married her. Going on 3 years now. Ghostbusters is still in our sex playlist. There was an episode of Family Guy where Lois and Peter are having sex and the rest of the family listens to the rhythmic creaking of their bed in fear, disgust, except for Stewie who dreams he's on a rocking chair on the porch of a southern plantation. He takes a sip of iced tea and says, "Ah, it's good to have land." Once, my then girlfriend and I were doing it and the bed started squeaking in that exact rhythm. I thought of that scene and for some reason didn't have my mouth-brain filter engaged, so I just blurted out, while thrusting in missionary, "Ah, it's good to have land." She then gave me the most confused, "What?" I've ever heard, and we both started laughing so uncontrollably that I lost my erection. Couldn't finish till half an hour later. Tried to pick up the romantic candles to turn them off, LED battery powered, but my hand closed on the full glass of water instead, which I promptly emptied all over her chest as I tried to turn it off. You can't turn off a glass of water. My boyfriend's pet cockatiel started to sing "Happy and You Know It" and wolf whistle while watching us. I was riding him and bent forward to kiss him and made the space between my boobs and his chest make a fart sound, and we had to stop because we couldn't stop laughing.